Welcome back. We are now going to talk to Alex Thompson to unpack the story about Naked Insurance. Welcome, Alex.
Thanks very much, Harold.
Naked Insurance, I believe you're looking to change the face of insurance, as it were, right?
Yeah, that's right.
One of the concerns with insurance companies, of course, is that they make profit from essentially not paying out claims, and you're looking to take that out of the system.
Yeah, well, what I would say is that when an insurance company finds a way not to pay a claim, it increases their profits.
Right.
It's not to say that that's what they're doing all the time, but of course, companies are in business to make profit,
Yeah.
and we all respond to incentives. So when there's an incentive to do better, by paying less claims, we just have to wonder what might happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think if you look at, if you speak to a lot of people about insurance, and we've done a lot of that over the last couple of years, what you hear just all too often is how poor an opinion they have about insurance, right?
Correct.
And so we just sort of join the dots between those two things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've got this peculiar situation in South Africa where something like 70% of people don't have car insurance, right? So there's a massive market out there of people that potentially should be insurance company customers but are not.
That's right. So we're doing car insurance, and as you say, in South Africa, a high percentage of the cars on the road are actually not insured, which is a problem for a number of different people, particularly for the people driving the car. If they drive into somebody else and it's their fault and they cause a big loss,
right.
That person's insurance company may end up, really coming after them and taking, things from them, maybe even bonding them, making them repay it over a long period, and putting them really into financial distress. So people who are really sort of struggling to afford a car, to pay insurance, are sometimes ending up in a much worse position. Yeah. And we really think this is something that can and should change. So there's been a lot of talk about, making it compulsory.
Yeah.
That's one way of going about it.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is to make the cost of that insurance as cheap as possible. So, you can get a third party, so damage to others cover with us for as little as 40 Rand a month, which compares, if you're going to go and buy that sort of thing standalone with existing insurers, of 200 Rand or something like that. So we're really trying to make that much, much more affordable for everybody to get.
Now, let's get to the nitty-gritty of your business model exactly. We've established that there's a need for cheaper insurance, for more ubiquitous availability of insurance, but how do you actually do it?
Right. Well, as we were saying earlier, it's this incentive that arises from underwriting profits that we think is a cause of one of the troubles in the industry.
Yeah.
So what we have decided to do is to break that link. We don't profit from underwriting per se. We take a flat fee off the premium, right? So we don't sort of do better or worse depending on whether claims are higher or lower, right? We just get that flat fee. And so what that means is that we're there really to make the insurance work, right? To provide a great experience to our customers, to facilitate the process, make everything as good as it can be.
Right.
But it's worth saying, it's not that we can just pay out whatever we want to or charge like almost nothing. We've got to make sure that in the long term, it's all done sustainably, right? So we've got to make sure that only the fair claims are paid out, that the right premiums are charged. that is still the job we have.
Yeah.
We just don't benefit if we find a way to make it a bit lower this year, and then next year's budget is a bit lower and lower and lower. We push claims down and down and down, or increase premiums more and more and more. We just don't have that incentive, right? And we think that's really fundamental, in terms of how insurance companies operate and in terms of the kind of outcomes that customers get from insurance.
So in essence then, for a Rand of premium payments, you take a fraction of it, a fixed fraction, and you have to make your business work on that fraction of the Rand, right? You have to be able to run your operations and be profitable. And the rest goes into actually
paying claims. Exactly. Yes. Let me go through that, right? So we take a 20% fee off the premium, right?
Okay.
And we've got to do everything for that.
Yeah.
So we actually operate more like a technology business than an insurance business, right? In a sense, we've got to make sure that our tech is really good.
Right.
We've got to run things incredibly efficiently. We're putting an enormous effort into trying to drive cost out of the system
Yeah.
as far as we can, so that we can keep premiums as low as we can,
Right.
and also that we can actually make some money out of that 20%.
Yeah.
So what happens to the remaining 80%? Well, of course, that's where we pay all the claims, right? Now, in some years, we've had things like Knysna fires, we have hailstorms, there could be floods, all those sort of things. Claims may be higher. So what we do is we buy a lot of reinsurance, right, which guarantees that all claims are going to be paid. And so in any sort of year, it doesn't matter what happens. But of course, what happens if it's a good year? What happens if there's money left over? And maybe we should talk a little bit about that. So it's a great opportunity for us, because what we can actually do is we can try to uplift the communities that we live in. Rather than insurance being just a sort of selfish thing about me and my stuff, you can actually contribute towards society through your insurance as well, right? So we actually donate any excess money that's left there at the end of each year to causes that our customers choose up front. Right. And we think that's a really cool thing about the way that Naked Insurance works.
How long have you been in business, by the way?
We've really just started. So we're a startup. We kicked off operations about a year and a half ago, but we only started selling to the public 2 months ago. So we're really at the beginning of this journey. And so far, in the last 2 months, we've had the most incredible feedback from so many people, across the spectrum of society, and it's been really gratifying that that our hard work over the last year and a half has been paying off.
Now tell me, with the 20% that you take off the premiums, it's not an exorbitant amount of money. It doesn't sound like. So you have to be able to run a very, very well-run shop, as it were, very efficient, right? And while doing all of that, still with the technology capabilities to service your clients across, and I'm not sure what platforms you use, I presume an app and website and what else?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So you've got to be able to have, out of that 20%, enough capital to run all of those operations.
Yeah,
is it working?
Yeah, it certainly is. I think what we've done is, if you go and try to buy insurance now, you've got really two choices, right? You can go to a broker. Yeah. Okay, and of course, part of your premium is going to be going to paying that broker, and it's quite an expensive and slow process, often involving paper and so on. Yeah. Or you can phone into a call center, right, and buy insurance like that. And again, when you're paying your premium, you're paying for that call center agent that's sitting there, on the other side of the phone. Right. And of course, it's going to take you something like 45 minutes to buy car insurance that way. Okay.
Yes.
What we've done is done it completely seamlessly online, right? So you can get an insurance quote from us in 90 seconds online, and you put car details in, and you're covered. There's no sort of phone calls back to check things. It's just that simple. So you can literally buy car insurance in 3 minutes. You could have bought it 2 or 3 times over already in this conversation, right? So it really is that quick. But part of the beauty of doing it online like that is that we don't have a team of people doing all the manual processes which insurance companies typically have.
Yeah.
And that takes cost out of the system. It means that we can run at 20%, which is very low by insurance standards, and it means that we can lower premiums for our customers.
So how do you do all the background assessments that quickly? And what platforms do you use to do that?
Right. Well, we've actually, we looked at this. We've been working, my co-founders and I, in the insurance industry for, something like over 50 years combined, the three of us. And we looked at it and looked at the systems that all the other insurance companies are running off, which were built decades ago, a really long time ago. And technology has really moved on a long way since then. So we actually started completely from scratch, and built all of our systems from the ground up in-house using a local team, local developers, exceptional group of people that have been able to build something like this in a relatively short space of time. And so it allows now the whole system to be fully automated and fully online, on an app, everything like that. And I think it's a remarkable achievement for the team.
So now what happens on the claim side? Presumably they've got the same technological capabilities to quicken the process for claims as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So the great thing at the moment is you can go onto our app and submit a claim in a couple of minutes. So instead of phoning in or having to fill out a long form, what you can actually do is you take a video selfie. You get your phone out and you record yourself describing the incident. So it really just takes, a minute or two.
Yeah.
You describe I was driving along and this guy crashed into me. That's all you have to do. And then the claim gets submitted to us and then we process it from then. I mean, some car insurance claims are quite complicated. You have lots of different parties and panel beaters and assessors and all sorts of things involved. And yes, there are still people involved in that. It is still at times involving phone calls and that sort of thing. But of course, we've been going for 2 months in the public. So what we're planning to do over the next couple of years is to automate more and more of that over time.
I see. And what's the relationship with Hollard? What do they do for you?
Well, so, when you start out in insurance, you have to have a licensed short-term insurer to write on. And that's a really good thing. It means that as a customer, you can be really confident that your insurance claims are going to be paid.
Correct.
So we are sort of underwritten by Hollard. What it really means is they're guaranteeing that all of our claims will be paid.
Yeah.
And that's been a really fantastic relationship. We've had a relationship with them going back many years. But we operate as a separate business, just with Hollard providing the balance sheet and the guarantee for us.
I see. And I mean, how are you funded? I mean, you're not going to disappear tomorrow, are you?
No, we don't think so. No, certainly not. So we have received some funding. In fact, one of the main funders is the shareholders behind Hollard and other investments in South Africa and globally, and they've been a really wonderful partner for us. They're called Yellowwoods, and they've been a fantastic partner for us and very supportive.
I see. So you've got some big names backing you up, both in terms of the underwriting, but also from a shareholding perspective.
That's right. So I think in insurance, it's important, that you feel confident that this organization is going to be around for a long time. I mean, insurance, things go, you have good years, like I said, and you have years where there are big claims, and you want to make sure that there's big balance sheets and well-known names behind you. And that's why you'll see on our website, it says underwritten by Hollard, and that's something we're very proud of.
We've seen in the insurance industry, from the point of view of integrating technology into the processes, not so much disruptive, but kind of an enhancements on existing processes. For instance, vehicle diagnostics for behavioral driving assessments, right?
Yeah.
And all that does is maybe, if you're a good driver, allows you to pay a lower premium, but it didn't really fundamentally change the structure of the insurance itself, did it? What you're talking about is a fundamental remake of the industry.
That's right. Yeah. So we certainly do believe that this is a lot of what's needed. I think insurance suffers from fairly poor reputation across the board. A lot of surveys and things, or just a sort of anecdotal, sort of ask your friends kind of thing. And you hear too much of things which really aren't, I think, appropriate this day and age. So what we've definitely seen, in the early days, is people really warming to the fact that they say, here is an organization that's really trying to make insurance better, to put it on the right footing, to say, this is how organizations should be run in the future. And I think we're not the only ones that are doing this. There's a range of other businesses locally and globally that are saying insurance can be a whole lot better. People can have a very different relationship with their insurer. There's kind of a bit of a cycle of distrust, sort of between the insurer and the insured, the customer quite often, right?
Correct.
The customer is sort of resentful. They've been paying these premiums the whole time, and then they come to claim, and then the insurer's giving them a hard time of it, and then the insurer thinks that they might be dishonest, and so they're checking them and doing all sorts of things. And it's really not a good relationship, And we feel that needs to fundamentally change. We think that it should be a much more open and honest relationship. I mean, the name Naked refers to transparency, right? Refers to the fact that we can be really transparent about how we operate because we have nothing to hide. We can really show our customers exactly how we make money, right? Just with that flat 20%. Rather than having a whole lot of murky things, and you're never quite sure what's going on.
We've also seen, I mean, in the context of this disruption of the insurance industry, a move towards peer-to-peer insurance or person-to-person insurance. But you've chosen to take a different tack. Is there a specific reason why you didn't go that direction? I mean, I'm not sure whether you looked at the merits of both options and decided that this is one you're going to follow, or how you did it.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So I mean, in the lending space, as you'll know, peer-to-peer lending has done, I think, pretty well overall.
Yeah.
And it's an area which in the insurance space has got a lot of attention over the last couple of years, and we looked very closely at it.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's an element of peer-to-peer in what we're doing, in the way in which when there's money left over, the group, all the people that chose a specific cause, a specific charity, or could be a religious group or a school, that community sort of contributes to that institution together. So it has a sort of element of peer-to-peer. Pure peer-to-peer, where basically people get together and insure together, I think is the direction we want to try to get things in. But there's a number of very, very difficult problems with that. I mean, one of them is that you want to make sure that your claims are fully paid every year, right? You don't want to suddenly find, okay, well, everyone else has had their claims paid, but now there's no money left in the fund, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we felt a sort of hybrid model, which has got elements of community-based insurance in it and elements of kind of really solid big institutions with big balance sheets backing insurance. We wanted both of those two things to be present. Yeah.
And you're doing car insurance now, and obviously it's early days, so you probably don't want to overload yourself in the beginning. Presumably you're going to expand into other areas over time?
Yeah, that certainly is the plan. Yeah, we're just doing car insurance. We'll continue just doing car insurance for a while.
Okay.
But yes, I think we've had enormous feedback from our customers saying, when are you doing other things? I want to get my house onto you guys. I want to get my contents. I've got just little bits and pieces, and so we're busy working on that. But it'll be a while before we do more than car insurance. Our plan at the moment really is to continue to build a really, really fantastic car insurance product.
And finally, Alex, just from a perspective on what could we expect this to be, to cost versus normal insurance? In other words, just some comparison. Is it 20% of what I normally would pay, or is it 10%, or is it 50%? At a high level.
It's a very difficult question to answer because, every different insurance company prices and charges for insurance on a different way.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the only way to find out really is just to go onto our site, and 90 seconds later you can know. Okay, and then you can see for yourself. I mean, sort of anecdotally, the feedback that we've had is that the majority of people do get discounts. Some get very significant discounts, but not everyone gets a discount. Some people, they find it's more expensive than their current insurance. So it's really something that you've got to see for yourself and find out.
Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been quite interesting, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on Naked Insurance and see how it progresses.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. And that's all we had for you tonight on Prime Business. Join us again tomorrow for more news and debates on all things business. Good night.